Welcome to the brand new section, Building Application Infrastructure on AWS. In this section, we will look at the topics such as getting started with Amazon Web Services, building application infrastructure on AWS using Terraform, building application infrastructure on AWS using CloudFormation. Now we move on to the first video of this section that deals with getting started with Amazon Web Services. In this video, we are going to take a look at Amazon Web Services. Then we will have a look at some basic things for building application infrastructure on AWS. After that, we will be generating authentication keys. Amazon Web Services, AWS, is a secure cloud platform. It has various offerings in IaaS, as well as PaaS, including computing power, database storage, and content delivery, which help in scaling applications and also grows our business across the globe. AWS is a public cloud, and as per the cloud computing concepts, it provides all its resources in an on-demand delivery with a pay-as-you-go plan. You can know more about AWS and its services at aws.amazon.com. Now we need to create an AWS account to start using the services. You can use this link to create an account. Once you are logged in, you will see this screen, which showcases the AWS and its categories. A few of the services are in the beta stage. We will be using some of the services related to compute and networking to build an infrastructure for our application. Some of the commonly used AWS services for applications are EC2, Elastic Compute Cloud. This is a compute offering from AWS, which, simply put, offers a server. ECS, Elastic Container Services. This is similar to the Docker services on top of a public cloud, that is, Amazon. It manages Docker on top of an EC2 machine only. Instead of creating a Docker cluster on premises, you can easily set it up in the Amazon cloud within a few minutes, and with less overhead. EBS, Elastic Beanstalk. This is a PaaS offering, where you just need to upload your code and specify how much infrastructure, basically app server EC2, is required. EBS will take care of creating the machines and deploy the code on it as well. S3, Simple Storage Service. This is a storage service offered by AWS, where we usually keep our application data or static content, which could be used for static website hosting. We will be using it for continuous deployment. Glacier. This is another storage service, which is mainly used for backup, as it is less costly, and hence has a slow data storing and retrieving capability as compared to S3. VPC, Virtual Private Network. This is a networking service which gives you control over your resources' accessibility. We will be using this service to keep our infrastructure. The service is very useful for securing our application service and database services, and exposes only selective resources which are required to the outside world. CloudFront. This is a content delivery service which distributes your content in S3 across the globe, and makes sure it is quickly retrievable irrespective of the location of the request source. CloudFormation. This gives developers and system administrators an easy way to create and manage a collection of related AWS resources, such as provisioning and updating them in the form of code. We will be using this service to build our infrastructure. CloudWatch. This service keeps track of the activity of your resources. It also keeps track of any activity on your AWS account in the form of logs, which is useful for identifying any suspicious activity or account compromise. IAM, Identity and Access Management. This service, as the name suggests, is very useful for managing users on the AWS account, and to provide them roles or privileges as per their usage and requirement. Route 53. This is a highly available and scalable cloud DNS cloud service. we can either migrate our domain from any other registrar such as GoDaddy and others to Route 53, or purchase the domain AWS. There are many more services offered by AWS that can't be covered in this section. If you are interested and would like to explore other services, you can go through the AWS product list. We will be using most of the aforementioned AWS services. Let's begin by building our infrastructure on AWS as per our application. Next, we will start with building application infrastructure on AWS. At this stage of our application, the system architect or a DevOps guy comes into the picture and suggests different infrastructure plans which are secure and efficient enough to handle application requests and are cost-effective as well. As far as our application is concerned, we will build its infrastructure the same as shown in this image. We will follow this architecture diagram for our application, which includes a few of AWS services such as EC2, VPC, Route 53, and so on. There are 3 different ways by which you can provision your resources on the AWS cloud. First is Management Console. Check this link for your reference. This is the user interface, which we have already logged into, and can be used to launch resources on the cloud. Next is Programmatically. You can check this link. We may use a couple of programming languages such as Python, Ruby, and the like to create resources, for which different development tools have been created by AWS. Also, you can use SDK to create your resources based on your preferred choice of language. Lastly, AWS CLI, Command Line Interface. It is an open source tool built on top of SDK for Python, which offers commands to interact with the AWS resources. You can check this link to understand its working and the steps to set this up on your system. Creating resources is pretty easy and straightforward, so we won't be covering that, but you can check the AWS documentation, aws.amazon.com/documentation to do so. After that, we will be generating authentication keys. Authentication is an important feature for any product or platform to check the authenticity of a user who is trying to access and perform operations on the product, and also to keep the system secure. Since here we are going to access the AWS account using APIs, we need authorization keys to validate our request. Now, an important AWS service enters the picture, called IAM, that is Identity and Access Management. In IAM, we define the users and generate access or secret keys, and also assign roles based on the resources which we want to access using it. It is highly recommended never to generate access or secret keys as the root user, because it will have, by default, full access over your account. Here are the steps to create a user and to generate access or secret keys. First, go to IAM. You should see this screen. Now click on the third option, named Users, in the left pane. If your account is new, you will see no users. Now let's create a new user for that. Click on the Add User button. Once you click on the Add User button, a new page will load and ask for the username and the way you want your user to access the account. If you are going to use this user, for example Manish, only for programmatic purposes, in that case, I recommend you not to select the AWS Management Console access box, so that the user doesn't need to log in using the AWS Management Console. So select Programmatic Access. Once you are done, click on the Next Permissions button on the bottom right side of the screen. Next, you need to select the permission you want to give to this user, which we call the IAM policies. That means now the user should be able to access the resources as per the policy defined, and also the kind of operations allowed for the user on the resources. For now, we add the Power User Access policy to this user. Internally, Power User Access will have a policy in the JSON format, which will look something like this. For more information about the IAM policy, read the documentation at this link. Readers who have been using Microsoft Active Directory can integrate AD with IAM easily using the AD connector. Once you have added the policies to the user, click on the Next Review button on the bottom right side of the screen to move forward. The next screen will ask you to review it, and once you are sure, you can click on the Create User button. Once you click on the Create User button, the user will be created and the policy will be attached to it. You will now see this screen, which has auto-generated the access key as well as the secret key, which you need to keep safe and never ever share with anyone. Nice! Our secret key has been generated. In this video, we have successfully generated authentication keys, which plays key role for building application infrastructure on AWS.